Hello and welcome to episode 379 of 5-Star Potential, your weekly fix of everything Football Manager. I'm your host, Doop, and joining me this week, as always, are the Dream Team, Dave and Mad. How are you both doing today?
Very good.
Dream Team.
Very good. Dream Team,
The
I like
Dream
it.
Team.
I do like it.
Great to hear, lads. Great to hear. Right, let's get into it. Before we dive into our save updates, let's talk about winners and losers of the week. Dave, let's start with you. Any big highlights or lowlights of your week?
Well, I've got a couple of things, actually. I mean, as of today, the day of recording, I made my debut on the overlap with Sky Sports.
I'm so proud.
That was that's sort of like the pinnacle for me, because I've been very lucky, obviously, with the wall stuff to do a lot of things. Yeah. But yeah, that's one that sort of evaded me for quite a while. So I'm really, really happy and proud to be on that. Albeit the loser of the week was the traffic getting up to Manchester. That was an absolute nightmare this morning. So I was meant to be there at half 11. Club,
you plastic.
Yeah. I was meant to be there at half 11 and recording was meant to start at 12 and I turned up at half 12.
Imagine my shock.
They waited for me. But
so, come on. I mean, spoilers. Who was on? I mean, this doesn't come out till Monday, so I'm assuming it's out soon.
I think it's out either Monday, Tuesday, so it might not even be out. But unfortunately, no Carragher, Neville or Scholes international break in it. So I'm probably on the lowest viewed one they'll ever have. But
David Coote on it?
No, unfortunately not. Someone did mention him, and then there was like a weird silence. So I thought maybe it'll be interesting to see if he makes the cut. I'm going to the darts this weekend as well. I'm going to the darts this weekend.
What, the Grand Prix?
The Grand Slam, yeah.
I don't know, Grand Prix, yeah, Grand Slam. So, what you semi-finals night?
Quarterfinals, I'm going to.
Quarters,
Saturday night.
Okay.
Yeah, so I look forward to it.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll see young Luke Littler.
I've seen him before, and hopefully I will see him again.
Okay. Dave is big time.
He is big time. Absolute big time. Rubbing shoulders with the overlap, watching the darts. I mean, you are a blowjob away from a perfect weekend, Dave.
Well, I walked in and I was I'm seeing Doop this weekend as well. That's another one. I was like, oh, where do I sit then? They're like, yeah, you're right on the front row there. I was like, so
you were that one. It was okay. I get what you're talking about now. Where you all just sat awkwardly. I was next to Rory Jennings, who I've met many times before. No, and I get on well with him, to be fair. I know, but I mean, I feel sorry for the kid because some of his takes that have been online are horrendous.
Adam McCullough, who you know, was sat behind me. Like,
he's quality.
He was like straddling me. He had his legs around me. So I was like, fairs. Cool. Well, he was a good lad. He was also a really nice guy.
Thanks for the FaceTime. I'd love to have a little chat with Adam. Appreciate that. Nice one. Matt, what about you? Any winners, any losers? Have you been on anything cool? And don't mention your shitty Newcastle podcast.
I recorded an episode of my shitty Newcastle podcast earlier.
It is actually quite good. Go listen, especially because they're shit this season. It's amazing.
Things are going well at the moment, in fairness. No, can't complain. A couple of wins on the bounce. I suppose, I mean, I get to mix things here. You know, I'm going back to university at the moment. I'm doing a master's in journalism, and I had to do an assignment at the weekend writing a kind of a mix of like a match report with a bit of a narrative. So I was basically writing about Lewis Hall getting called up to England and his performances for Newcastle as a college assignment. So considering I did business in college about 15 years ago, it's far more enjoyable. And yeah, I suppose winner of the week is like Lewis Hall and Livramento are basically our fullbacks now, both in the England team, which bodes well for the future because there was a lot of grief when those two were signed. We spent a lot of money on them and they weren't really first teamers. So nice to see that paying off. So yeah, shout out to the young fullbacks of Newcastle. Okay,
cool. Losers? I mean, you can be negative as well, Matt. It's not always positive.
Losers. I'm having a decent week. I'm not going to shout any losers this week. But Ireland are playing international football in the next few days, so it'll just be them. It will be them.
Who have you got?
We have Finland.
Yep.
And then some other small time team. I don't know who they are.
Have they got like a new younger sort of? Is it like Scandinavian manager? Ireland.
He's Icelandic.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
And nobody over here can pronounce his name.
Yeah, Matt Doherty was left out of the squad last time, wasn't he? Because I think the guy was.
I think he actually has ended up getting drafted back in because of injury. So I actually think he's landed himself back in it somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, but there was a bit of a meltdown the first time that happened. But yeah.
But yeah, obviously we're playing England on Sunday, so.
Oh, okay. No, I genuinely didn't know. To be fair, I'll be honest. Like,
okay.
Over here, I say over here because you are actually in Ireland. You support local. I love it. But over here, all we've seen is players just announced, then just leaving the squad.
Didn't Harry Kane say a few words about it today? He was kind of kicking off.
Yeah, do you know? He basically went. So yeah, I don't know what he said, but he did say a few words. He dribbled his way through. Yeah, he's basically saying country before team, but then again, he hasn't actually won fuck all. So
that's a lot of players to pull out of a squad. I get it, but like, yeah, that wouldn't have happened 15 years ago.
Surely you would want to make some sort of impression before Tuchel gets the job as well. Like, surely for me, like, Tuchel's getting the job. I know he's not directly in charge this time round, but I don't know.
Can I just say one thing as well, though? I did read somewhere online that somebody on Sky Sports News, I don't know who it was blaming Tuchel, and we would never have seen this if we had an English manager.
Why is that got to do anything?
He's not even there yet. That's ridiculous.
Well, no, I'm assuming he will turn up. Like, he will be there. He'll be surely. There, yeah. Like, he's not going to not.
He's got a start date in the future.
It's his team. I mean, I don't understand why. I mean, I'm not actually that bothered. I was a little bit bothered when I thought he may become our manager, because I actually probably would have quite liked that. But yeah, why? Why can he not just take over straight away? And surely, Lee Carsley has given him a call and just been like, "Yeah, so anything you want to see out of this?"
Mm-hmm.
Surely,
it's hard to know the dynamic. I doubt Van Nistelrooy was ringing Ruben Amorim and asking him the same questions.
Well, he probably did because he found out he didn't have a job after it.
So, by the way,
Oh, I thought you were going to add something like substantial to that. I thought you were like,
by the way, Rude, you're fired.
How do you feel about
you're fired.
Yeah,
to be fair,
strange. To be fair, oh mate,
iconic.
The goats will know. Mad will not know. Hang on, he is a kid nowadays. He's back at thing.
You get that, Mad. To be fair,
that is a Sidemen reference.
Oh, I wouldn't have.
I didn't think. I was surprised you got to do to it.
Mate, I love my Sidemen. I think Sidemen are the greatest things in the world, and they are. Congratulations to the Sidemen. My winner of the week. There you go. They're actually doing a charity game at Wembley, which is fucking insane to think that they are just like content creators and they're now playing at Wembley and probably will sell it out. Right, let's shift gears, chaps, because I kind of put Dave on a pedestal last week saying that he's going to win his final Champions League and finish his Pentagon Challenge. So, over to you, Mr. Azzopardi. Tell us the news.
The news is that there is no news.
Oh, shit.
No, I've played a little bit. Like I said, there was quite a big chunk of games really between. And to be fair, for listeners, there has been a very short turnaround since the last pod which came out and us recording the next pod. So to be fair, there has been a short turnaround.
3 days.
But I have played. I was playing a little bit earlier on today as well. So getting the games done, I have a really strong run. I think I ended my update last week by saying that I was top of the league. I got that up to like a 7-point cushion in the league. And then frustratingly, I dropped points in 3 consecutive games. So I'm a point clear, but I think the team in second have got a game in hand. However, I'm now into June, which if you're not aware, in Brazil, that's sort of mid-season, or July, I think I'm in. So that's when the sort of summer window opens, and that's like the middle of the season for me. I'm about 3 or 4 games away from the next Copa de Libertadores match, so I'm looking forward to that. But the transfer window is going to be, and already has been, a little bit messy. I'm not going to bother Lionel, mate. Yeah, I'm not going to mention any names because, in terms of new gens, you're not going to have a clue about any of them. But I had a really talented young lad that I played at pressing forward, being sniffed around by some decent size. Chelsea made an offer. He wanted to go to Chelsea, so ultimately I agreed a deal for about £20 million, which in Brazil is not bad value to get for a player, to be completely honest. So 20 million quid for him. I've eyed up a couple of options. I've just signed an older Brazilian player. He's about 32, but just been playing in the Premier League, and he was available on a free. I think he's playing for Sunderland, actually, in the Prem. But he scored 14, 15 goals just 12 months before in the Premier League. So he's obviously got a bit of quality. But then I felt really bad, to be fair. I've been having a run of sort of 17, 18-year-olds coming to me saying they want a new contract and getting pissed off that I'm not giving them a new contract. But when you look at their attributes, they're whack. They're so bad.
Whack. Love it.
And so the one asked me for a new contract. I said, no, you're going to have to wait. And he kicked off about it. So I went on his profile, saw he was on 65 grand a week. So I released him on a free. It cost me £1,200. I thought, you know what? F you. So he was out the door, mate. So
that's whack, isn't it? That is whack.
That is whack. Yeah. So don't mess with me, man. I don't want to be messed with. So yeah, 65 quid a week, and now he's stacking shelves in the Brazilian Tesco, mate. So
I wonder what the Brazilian Tesco is actually called. Listeners, can you help us? That'd be fantastic.
I doubt we've got any Brazilian listeners because they don't even have FM in Brazil. So
my wife's got Brazilian and she listens.
What? Wow. Anyway,
oh fuck's sake.
But yeah, so we're cracking on. To be fair, we're pushing on towards the Copa Libertadores, and I have full belief, and I know I've said it for a long time. I've got full belief that by next week we will have a big update.
I cannot wait for next week for Dave to tell us he won it again.
Yeah.
Doop, have you got that tweet ready to go for when you get to have the reins on his account? Doop's at the wheel.
No. I think I'm going to just stop mentioning it now. I actually used it yesterday. It was a really bad take about David Coote and basically slagging off the Scouters. And it's the tweet that you tweeted yesterday. That was my tweet because it was such a bad take that nobody should have tweeted that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and check Dave's Twitter out. Anyway, Mad, let's head over from Brazil to Espanyol and not Espanyol, but Spain, and tell me how your save is shaping up because we've had a few tweets this week about the podcast that's come out, and apparently a couple more people, a couple of the listeners are actually managing in Spain. So, viva las vamos!
I think we've started a trend, because I've had a few people messaging me as well. You clearly did, definitely. It was always it's always you.
It's always me, mate. But I got that T-shirt on under. Oh no, I haven't. No, different one. Sorry.
No. Keep your clothes on. Whoa. Don't show us you're Brazilian. I've had a few people messaging me as well. Yeah, that some people I have even started a Deportivo save. As Dave said, it's only been 3 days in real time since we recorded the last pod. I dropped a blog on Monday, which kind of reflected the update I gave on the last pod. So we season 2 in the bag, finished 11th in La Liga after getting promoted from the first season. I think the last thing I left off with you two lads was the transfer budget was going to be around 20 million, give or take. And I went really all in. So I've finished the transfer window. I'm just in September. So I have a couple of games of the season 3 played. So I can bring you through the transfers that we've made. And I'll just talk to you about the start of the season. Really, really going in hard on the buy low, sell high. I really want that to be the underlying theme of this save. And that's a big deal for me because normally when I buy a good player, I never, ever, ever let them go. But I'm kind of willing to do that as we're a kind of a developing club and we need to build funds. And it's the only way we'll ever compete probably with Barcelona, Real Madrid is if we can actually just financially compete. So what did we do? The last thing I said to you lads was, I think Doop, you had asked me about selling players. I had mentioned I had a bit of a problem with my Bulgarian goalkeeper, Svetoslav Vutsov, 6'4", who I signed for 1.5 million from Slavia Sofia. He came to Deportivo. I'm just looking at his record now. I think he's conceded something like 80 goals in 70 odd games. It's not actually terrible, but we did a decent season in the La Liga too, the first season. But a big old bid came in for him, and it was Bayern Munich. And Bayern Munich ended up signing him for 12 million. Now, he wanted to leave. He had said with 18 months left on his deal that he was going to explore options at the end. So I was going to lose him on a free at the end of the season anyway. So I managed to negotiate a bit with Bayern. There's also a little percentage of profit clause added onto that as well. Now, whether he ever leaves Bayern is a different question because, Bayern isn't really a stepping stone club, but you never know. So that probably is going to epitomize what I'm going to try and do with this save. I bought a random goalkeeper from the Bulgarian league for 1.5 million and sold him for 12 to Bayern. And that's kind of the dream. It's not even a new gen or anything. He's just a decent goalkeeper with really good attributes. So that left us without a goalkeeper going into the new season. So that's where I had to start. And I basically went and signed not one, but two goalkeepers. I kind of liked the look of them both. They're both very similar profiles to him. So one fella is a guy called Max Weiss. So it's Wei, and that funny German kind of weird S thing. I think it's Weiss.
Yeah.
And signed him from Karlsruhe, which is like the second tier in Germany they're in. Got him in for €2 million. This is all euros, by the way. And he's 6'3". He's obviously he's German. Again, he was at a lower tier, so it was easy to get. His wages are really low. And just looking at his profile, and I actually looked at it in comparison to Vutsov when I signed him, they're very similar. A lot of double figures in the right places. His one-on-ones are 14. His reflexes are 14. His rushing out is 14. Aerial reach 14. Jumping reach 16. A big goalkeeper who could just dominate the area, and that's exactly what Vutsov was. So we brought in Weiss, and again, like if he can kind of nail down the number one jersey, fingers crossed that obviously he is good for us, but maybe again down the line we'll be able to sell him on. He's only 22. And then there was another keeper I was looking at around the same time who's Brazilian, and he was at Eintracht Frankfurt. His name is Kaua, Kaua, Santos. Again, none of these are new gens. So he was at Eintracht Frankfurt. Mostly in their second team is where he was getting games, but same story. He's 6'5", jumping reach 18, and then he's just kind of like 14 rushing out, 14 throwing, 15 aerial reach, 13 command of area. Again, just really, really solid goalkeeping attributes. And we also signed him for 1.2 million actually. So sold Vutsov for 12, and then brought in two other keepers for a combined 3.2. And I wanted to bring in two because you remember the last two pods. And Dave, you'd remember I had both my first team keeper get injured in each season. Yes, you did. So I had to fall on my backup keeper twice in a row in both seasons so far. So I'm not risking that again. So I think Weiss will be first choice going into the new season, and Santos. But I think Santos is good enough to push him as well. And Santos is only 23. So a 22-year-old and a 23-year-old keeper going into the new season. Be interesting to see how that works out. And what else did we do then? Transfer-wise, again, continuing to buy low. I did actually get a free transfer in. His name is Joel Indala. He was at Man City, England under 21. He's kind of a left winger, 16 pace, 16 acceleration, 17 determination, 17 dribbling, 15 first touch. He's got a lot of single attributes and things like corners and like any of his bravery and anticipation. So he's not perfect, but he could be just a bit of an explosive option, especially off the bench. So that was a good free signing to get in. And he's in the England under 21s. And then there's a player I'm kind of really looking forward to seeing this season that I signed from Sassuolo. I don't know if you lads will have heard of this guy. Not a new gen, obviously. Luca Lipani. So he is a centre midfielder. I'm going to be playing him as a volante. Now, what I like about this player, I mean, he's very much all-around attributes. 14 pace, 13 acceleration. He's 6'2". He's got a jumping reach of 16, but he's also got really good technical ability. Like his technique is 14, his passing is 14, his first touch is 14. So I just see this guy, being a kind of a tall frame midfielder, I just see him bombing up and down, hopefully kind of arriving in the box late and scoring a few goals. So I've initially loaned him, and I have an option to sign him, but it's about 15 million, which should be doable, hopefully, if the season goes well enough. But I think this guy could be a superstar for me in this save, and someone who, again, I probably would sell on. He's only 21. And just, looking at the start of the season, I've played 3 or 4 games. In our opening game of the season, he had a 7.5 rating, got an assist. He had a 7.2 in the second game, and in our most recent game, a 7.3. So that's, for a defensive midfielder, he's actually looking really good already. So very happy with that. And again, not much money being spent. Then a few more signings came in. I signed a winger from Dynamo Zagreb for 2.7 million. A centre half that is going to be first choice for us. His name is Coney De Winter. He came from Lazio. I think was at Genoa in real life, or I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like he was at Genoa in real life.
He's quite highly rated. I think
Lazio had him.
Yeah, I think Wolves have been linked with him before.
Yeah, I
can't
actually
be that highly rated.
They'll take what they get. He's Belgian, so looking at his career path, he was, in real life, he was at Juventus, didn't break through into the first team, and then had spells at like Empoli on loan, and then he moved to Genoa, and then Lazio signed him, I think, in game. They signed him for 7 million and played him twice. I've managed to then bring him in for €2 million, lads, and again, 6'3", big frame. He's quick, 14 pace, 14 acceleration, tackling, marking, heading, all good positioning. So definitely going to be first choice there. And again, that's 2 million. He's 24. So thinking the same thing all along, resale value at the very least, if not, being a permanent fixture in this side for hopefully a couple of seasons to come. And then 2 or 3 other signings really quickly tell you about. Doop, you remember last week we talked about John Pacheco, the centre back who is Basque. I actually ended up going in for him because, we mentioned that in my save he looks quite good. Like he's quick. Yeah. He's, again, all his attributes are really strong. I managed to get him in for, was it 2 million euros up front from Eintracht Frankfurt. So he'll probably be playing alongside De Winter now. That's a new centre back pairing for me. But he's only 25 in my save here, but like he's already up to 5 million in value. And I'm confident that he's again, his value is going to shoot up. And one of the reasons I think I mentioned on last week's pod, I secretly hope that Athletic Bilbao will come in for him because they can only sign Basque players, obviously, as we know. And I would hope that I'll be able to charge them whatever I want for him, really, because they have budget because there's just so few players they can buy. So at the very least, I've signed him just to try and sell him to them. But obviously, I'd be happy to keep him around. And then a couple other young signings. Dave, I signed a player from Wolves, but I'm not sure if Wolves signed him in game. His name is Liam Kitching, but I think he might have went from Coventry to Wolves in my save. So maybe he's not actually a Wolves player. He's Irish as well.
Yeah, he doesn't play.
Okay, yeah. So he's an Irish kind of a left back or left centre back. He'd be a backup as well. Again, I had to bring in an Irish player, as you know. And then lastly, a player I signed who I did a Wonder Kid watch kind of a write up before on. He's an American player in Italy, Gianluca Busio. I think you lads might be aware of him. He's a kind of a DM midfielder. Again, just really good technical attributes. Should just fit into any role in midfield. So lots of signings made again because obviously, we're moving fast and we had some money to spend. But the highest I spent in that window was Busio for 6 million, and all the other signings were kind of 3 million or below. So I've managed to bring in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, kind of like 9 or 10 players for roughly, I want to say about 25 million, 28 million, something like that. And then obviously sold Vutsov and a couple of other players. So we've made some money back. Start of the season, then it won't take long. I've played 4 games in the league. Doop, we opened against Alaves again. Played Alaves. We beat them 2-0 at home.
Easy game.
Cameron Archer, as I mentioned, I signed him, so he scored, as well as Junior Krupi, that wonder kid. Didn't get any bids in for him. Weirdly, Sheffield United were interested, and his value is like 27 to 37 million. And I think they've just been promoted, but I don't know how they're going to expect to afford him. Then I had a 0-0 draw with Racing de Santander. Lost 2-1 to Valencia. That was at home as well, which is a bit disappointing. And then just today I played Elche. Is it Elche? Elche? Mm-hmm. Elche.
I don't know why I'm telling you that.
Yeah. Played them away from home and beat them 1-0. Again, Cameron Archer on the score sheet. So he's starting to come good. That's 2 goals in 4 games, which would be nice to see because he was a bit slow to get off the mark last season. So I'm liking the squad. Again, it's a very young side. As I said, we're spending very little and buying a lot of young players and players that aren't really proven. But I'm hoping that, I suppose, at individual level, these players will do well and their value will go up and so on and so forth. But we might just have the makings of a nice little side here in Deportivo. And I'm playing fast in the save, faster than I usually play. It's rare that I'd be already in season 3 and I started the save about 2 weeks ago. So that's pretty good for me. So I'm just going to keep smashing it because I'm actually enjoying it again, and that was the whole point. Always nice.
Yeah, absolutely. No, awesome, man. Yeah, it's a tough league. It's a really tough league.
It is.
And I mean, I've not done much with my save this week. I'm back streaming tomorrow night, so next week I'll have a big update. But I have actually started a little offline save, and I need to help with this, lads, because I basically set a new manager up, kind of quite good reputation, good grades at school with my coaching badges. And I just basically played. I went unemployed and I just loaded a load of leagues in and I just played. And I was just waiting for a nice, interesting job to come up. And then Christmas Day, I got offered the Brentford job. Brentford are currently 20th in the league. They got 8 points after 18 games. I decided to take the job. They had about 30 million in the bank to spend. I thought we could go play a nice 3 at the back system at Brentford, a bit like I played at Atalanta. get them up or keep them up this year, focus on next year, buy some young, talented players, and we go from there. So our first game, we played West Ham away from home, and it started absolutely blissfully because we went 1-0 up after about 22 minutes. I was like, this is good. We're playing well. We're playing strong. West Ham had 2 shots on target all game. They scored 2 goals and beat us 2-1. We come out of that, and that was on New Year's Eve. The transfer window opens very shortly. Like I said, I got 30-odd million, 36 million to be precise. Went through a few players who we could look to purchase. Did think about the Wonder Kid Junior. What did you say his surname was?
Krupi,
yeah. I did look at him. He's interested in coming, so I thought, that could be pretty cool. And then I was like, Scott McTominay's not played a single game at Napoli, and I thought Scott could come in and just shore up that midfield for me. And I needed another centre-back, and I was looking at these things, and I was thinking, crikey, these scouts are really good because I'm just going on random Brazilian players, and I can see, like, I got really good knowledge on them. And I realised they hit attribute masking off. So I had to start a new save. So that lasted about 3 hours, and I was really annoyed. So what I have now done, gentlemen, and you can help me with this, okay? You can be the decision makers on this. I have set a new database up with attribute masking off. Don't panic. No, attribute masking on, I should say. And I have simmed with an updated database with the first window transfers disabled. I have simmed to the 13th of November, 2024, which, if you don't know, today. That is today's date. So, yeah, Mad, just welcome. You obviously didn't write that in the top right-hand corner of your school book today, did you? No. Which is what I used to have to do all the time. So, no amazing jobs have come up on this day. A few people have lost their jobs. A few people have got new jobs. We're seeing some strange things happening, like Manchester United qualified for Europe last year, which is quite strange. But they have just got beaten by Manchester City, and their manager is Thomas Tuchel, which doesn't shock me at all. And they only spent 1.4 million in the transfer window just gone, which is quite strange. But yes, so my thought is, do we now just start playing and then we find a team, or do I pick a team now that's quite interesting and see what we can go for? What do you reckon?
I would say now.
Pick a team.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, not like right this second, but I'll go ahead and then
you'll get a good chunk of the season rather than waiting till something like February and then it becomes a bit meaningless because you're just doing the running.
Yeah, but then we've got loads of time, and I did think that might be the better way of doing it, because that way it's a bit more natural, isn't it? And get a job that we can start actually be offered. But we'll have a look. I will report back next week and let you know exactly how that gone on, because I'm pretty sure between now and then Dave would not be about, as he's very busy by the sounds of it, and we won't be playing any network save.
Dig.
That was actually gonna be my loser of the week at the start. I do apologise.
Okay, was you. Super. Okay, well, lads, as much as I didn't have an update to give you, I loved hearing about both of your journeys. It's always fun to hear the variety of challenges that we kind of give ourselves, and FM can throw over to us and make our way through them. Talking about variety, so we get into our Spotlight section. See what I did there? Today's Spotlight is managing in obscure and unique leagues. If you're an FM player looking to escape the Premier League or Bundesliga for something a bit more unconventional, well, this one is for you. So, Dave, let's start with you. What is the appeal of a lesser known league?
I'm
throwing you under the bus for this one.
He was ready for that.
I know.
Yeah, I know. No, I mean,
I saw that time on the overlap today, wasn't it?
No, I think this sort of time of year, and we've sort of mentioned it over the last few weeks with FM, being extended FM24. I think a lot of people would have sort of had mentally been ready around now for their new save. So I think this is the perfect opportunity to try something a bit different. Obviously, we've got some of the teams that we're going to talk about now. Later on, I'm going to pick out another few leagues that I've done a little bit of work looking into as well. But I think it's just something different, isn't it? You learn with new players like Mad and yourself, Doop. Obviously, the Spanish league isn't a small league by any stretch of the imagination, but for us as British and Irish FM players, it's not somewhere that we've tended to go much. So you're managing, learning, seeing new players. So I think, and that's the beauty of FM. It's such a unique and huge database that, coming away from the English leagues or coming away from whatever leagues that you're managing at the moment, try something different. You got to see new players. And I think the beauty with obscure leagues are you can still pick out some amazing players, some really cracking players. And it makes a save even better, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about that as well. And when we come to some of the leagues that I've managed in, but I think it's that it forces you to move away from things you might normally do. Like, if you look at where we are with FM24, it's now been out for over a year. If you were to start a save now in the Premier League, you'll probably end up doing something you've already done, or signing players you've already signed, or players you already know. When you go and land yourself in a different nation, in a different league, it forces you to have to learn more about that league and about the clubs and sign different players. But for me, the biggest reward is you come out of it with player knowledge you didn't have before. And as we know with football managers, these players often materialize into real life signings. And you get to give yourself more of those Leonardo DiCaprio meme moments where you're jumping out of the chair and pointing at the screen because there's a tweet about some random fucking Austrian player that someone has signed. Like that literally has happened to me, and I'll go into it in a little bit, but that's what it does. It just builds out that knowledge and gives you so much more context for when some of these young players actually materialize into real life superstars.
Do you know what? It's one of the reasons why genuinely I'm actually a little bit curious about FM25, because we talk about these lesser known and the less popular leagues. I've learned so much. I know the back of my hand the MLS rules. I can smash through all of that. You give me a squad, and within a few weeks in game, I will make it compliant. Do you know what I mean for the MLS? Because I just know it, because I've jumped into it and I've got a bit of an insight with that. Both my boys, I was very lucky to be able to take them to the FA Cup final, the Women's FA Cup final. And ever since then, my eldest boy wants to watch women's football all the time. And I'll tell you this, I don't know enough about women's football. I don't know enough about non-league football. I don't know enough about French League One football, German second division football. It's all the same as the same. The way I learn is I learn by playing FM, which is why I'm looking forward to playing a women's league in FM, because then when we go to watch it on the telly, when the boys are downstairs, and I can go, he'll go, oh, who's that then? She used to play for such and such, and she because you learn this shit by playing the game, right? And it's just mental. The only downside is to FM is, and especially managing these random players, is my real life and my FM kind of merge into one. So, for example, we were talking. Me and Oscar were watching something. Oscar's my eldest son. We were watching something. I think it might have been a Premier League years. I think he was. We were sat watching it this morning, yesterday morning, and I can't remember which is the player. But the player come up and he was like, who's he played for? And this was quite a recent one, and I was like, I remember him playing really well at 18. Oh, no, not 1860. That was my FM save. No.
Yeah.
So it's always a bit dodgy. Anyway, okay. So I think, Mad, share with us some of your experiences with your unique and your obscure leagues, because Mad's so shit at the game, he has to drop down a division or two to kind of get himself half decent.
Yes. Sure, why not? I've done a few things over the years. I've randomly been in, I remember doing a save in Czech Republic. I randomly went to Bulgaria once, because I think it's still the case in Bulgaria that Ludogorets are the league champions since 2012 or something.
Wow.
And I remember going there, I was like, I need to topple them, just doing a season here and there. These are all offline saves, I suppose. I suppose the league I could speak the most about that's kind of, echoing the things we've mentioned would be the Swedish league. So I went there at the start of FM24, did the Ike save. In hindsight, the only downside was I probably picked a club that were maybe too good in terms of some of the players that were there and the resources, and just we ended up dominating. But the one thing about that Swedish league, the players, the quality of young players just sitting in that Swedish league. So just for some context, one of the first players I saw in that save, I didn't sign him, but I saw him, was Lucas Bergvall. And this is going back, so whenever the game came out, let's say October, whenever the early access might have dropped, or if it was September, I can't remember. So this is way before Tottenham had signed him. And I'm just looking at Lucas Bergvall in game, and I'm like, what's the story with this player? He's like 17, 18, and he already had unbelievable attributes, and clearly the potential is there and all the stuff that's under the hood. And I wanted to sign him. He was actually too good for me to sign. He ended up going to Dortmund in the save. And then like a few weeks later in real life, there's a tweet, Spurs have agreed a deal to sign Lucas Bergvall. And I'm like jumping off the chair, and I've not even signed him. And, it just shows you, obviously, the researchers knows what they're doing, and they know all about that way before the game is even dropped. And there's just so many of these players that I've even seen recently get moves into bigger European leagues and teams. Sebastian Nanasi is another one. I'm trying to remember where he's ended up, but I have to Google it now while we're talking, because he has moved from Sweden to another club. He is at Strasbourg now, and obviously they're linked with Chelsea. They have a connection with Chelsea. Naturally, I'll talk about Jonah Kusi Aser, who was 16 years old in the Ike save that I started. I didn't even know he was there when I took over the team. He ended up being a superstar for us for the first 3 seasons. I sold him for 40 odd million, but he's moved to Bayern in real life. There's a ton of unbelievable Swedish players up there, and they're starting to pop up around Europe. There's Hugo Larsson in real life. Now he's at Frankfurt. There is a couple of them down in Portugal. There's guys playing in Italy. They're really, really good players. There's Gustav Isaksson. Actually, he might be Norwegian, but he was up there. And even look around, Gyökeres. Sweden for me is a nation that used to be really, really strong. Back in the 90s, let's say, they came third, I think, in USA 94. And from a championship manager perspective, and even the early FMs, Sweden was a place to go. I remember, Farnerud and Jonas Lundgren, and there was Kennedy Bakircioglu. I think he was Swedish. Then there was a bit of a lull from a Swedish perspective, like football-wise, and I think that's starting to come around now, full circle. Like obviously you've got your Kulusevskis and Isak. Zlatan probably inspired a nation by himself.
I think,
and for me, Sweden is one to watch.
Rooney Bargi's going to be another one as well. I think that.
Did you see a video of him and Callum Wilson?
Yeah.
Which is just have you not seen it? So no. I don't understand. I'm assuming Rooney Bargi is going to go to Newcastle very soon, but there's a video of Callum Wilson and Rooney Bargi, because Rooney Bargi did his ACL, yeah? So they're
probably just doing rehab at the same place. Huh?
Yeah, doing rehab at the same place together. And they are sat on an exercise mat, and they've kind of got their legs wide apart and their feet are basically touching. And they're just doing like headers to each other, and then they're just like keeping the ball up, sat down. Yeah. It's mental.
The first thing I've seen is a TikTok video comes up on my Google search. Agent Callum Wilson with the FC Copenhagen's Rooney Bargi.
I love that. A myth, so I probably wouldn't worry, but.
Well, it's the only thing that Callum Wilson has done in the past few months. Is
he used to sing his praises all the time.
I know, but the poor fella's just been injured nonstop, so he's kind of just like a non-runner, literally.
Great player on FM.
Literally.
Great player on FM.
Both of them.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely Sweden, lads, because again, as I said, the players, I would try and push yourself to find a team you just don't know much about. There's some incredible kind of youth setups up there. There's one that's like I can't pronounce it. It's Bromkuna something or other. Djurgardens are another one. Kim Karlström was famous for coming from Djurgarden. If you know, you know. So I would definitely recommend Sweden, as well as the Scandinavian leagues are pretty cool. And then the only other one I would shout out really quickly would be the Irish League. And I myself haven't done a whole lot, especially content wise, on the Irish League. But it's really starting to gather momentum. The player quality that's coming out of it is a lot of players obviously moving across to the UK and beyond. And just looking at what's going on in real life now, Damien Duff is over there. He took over Shelbourne. They were like nearly at the bottom of the league when he took over. They just won the Irish League last week under Damien Duff. And it's just like they have the highest number of attendances across the league this season, the highest viewers watching league games on TV. The cup final was on last Sunday. It was like a record in terms of TV and physical audience. So I'd say keep an eye on the Irish League. I think that's a league that is going to start to kind of get a little bit more out there.
I was going to say, I'm shocked you've not actually done an Irish save in Ireland.
See, the thing is, it's
no one cares.
It's a bit limited. Like you can only go so far with it. The Irish League is only 10 teams in it in the top league. You know.
Yeah.
So,
but surely, like there's kind of, you're not going to win a Champions League with that. Let's be honest. But you're going to get to a point where there has to be something that what is a realistic target that you could do? Could you get into the group stages of something, for example, that could kind of, I just think like I think you should do something with it. You should. I know you can't do it.
There's no more group stages, though, is there? That's the problem with this.
I think it'd be easy to get in then. I think it'd be
easier to get in. I mean, even now, like Shamrock Rovers are in the Conference League. They're playing Chelsea just before Christmas.
Didn't they get a point or something recently?
Yeah,
they've got 7 points. Yeah, they've won 2 games. They beat TNS from Wales. They beat Larne from Northern Ireland, and they drew with Cyprus team, maybe Apoel Nicosia or something.
Imagine your first outing in Europe, and you've got to play a team from Wales and Northern Ireland.
Well, with TNS, their stadium isn't up to UEFA standards, so they're having to play Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury, yeah.
That's not actually too far from me, actually.
It's the same as Stade Brest. They're having to play in their rivals' ground because their ground isn't good enough either. It's crazy.
So how bad is the Irish League then, Matt? Compared to, I'm just scrolling through FM now, and I'm just looking at their league reputation, and I'm struggling to find Ireland.
It's low.
There it is. There, the Premier Division is 63rd.
Yeah.
In the leagues, European leagues,
the
Liga 3 from Germany is above it.
Mad. What?
Yeah.
It's always been something in my mind. Like I'm like, of course I should. If anyone should, I should do it. You know.
I'm not expecting you.
Kept it on the long.
I'm not expecting you to know to the penny, but what's like the wages like there? Because there's been a lot of lads, and you still have it now, where a lot of lads come over to England in the under-21 setup, and for whatever reason, if it doesn't work out, they end up going back to Ireland. But surely the wages, well, maybe as an under-21 compared to a first teamer in Ireland, it's probably comparable. Maybe I don't know, but
I'm just looking at Shamrock Rovers. If you don't know, they've won the division 22 times. And the Sports Direct FA Cup 25 times. Their key player is a chap called Jack Byrne, who's 29 years of age. He's been at Aperol, he's been at Oldham, Wigan, Blackburn, Man City. He's 29 years of age. He's currently on $3,000 a week.
Oh, that's good.
Pretty much what you get paid every week, Dave.
Yeah, true. Actually, it's not far.
So just to be on the overlap.
So. It's the kind of thing, Dave, where the Dublin teams dominate. So Shamrock Rovers, Shelbourne, Bohemians, even to an extent Dundalk, but they've just been relegated. Though the Dublin teams will dominate and have a bit more money, they've got bigger attendances, bigger investment, sponsorship, the whole lot. So players who end up in the Dublin teams naturally be on more. Galway United, who are my local team, they're starting to actually...
Go ahead. What division are they in? I was going to say, what's your local? So the team that you should be supporting.
They're in the Premier Division, yeah. Galway are in the Premier Division. I went to a couple of games last year, actually, to have you know. They got promoted season before last, and they've just finished 5th. They actually just had Greg Cunningham come back to Galway as well. So Greg Cunningham, he originally was on the books at Man City. He's from Galway, and he then went to Preston and Cardiff. I don't know which order it was. He's just come back to Galway now. He's only 31. And he's played for Ireland. He's like high caliber. But in terms of wages, Dave, I mean, I don't know. You'd probably be looking at maybe one and a half a week max, I would say.
A week. I mean, it's better than, it's still a good wage.
I'm guessing because it's his profile, but like the average player is probably on a couple $100 a week. And the thing as well with the Irish League is they only get one year contracts. So every season it's like, such and such is staying and such is leaving. There's no security in there, which is going to be hard for any player to commit to, really, if you don't know where you'll be next season.
An early quiz question for you, Dave. Galway, can you name their stadium? Don't help him, Matt.
I don't have a clue.
It's the Paul Madden Stadium.
It's the Eamon Holmes Park.
No,
it's Eamon DC Park.
I was going to say.
Okay, awesome. David, where do you want to take us? Somewhere obscure for the final time today?
I'm going to say South Africa.
To my hometown.
Yeah, I do.
My hometown.
South Africa has been sort of the place where I've probably enjoyed the most in obviously this Pentagon Challenge and the first one that I did as well. And even I did sort of a half one where I stuck there for ages because there was a league bug that I had. But I really, really enjoy it there. I think in terms of if you started it almost as like a journeyman where you get a job in the second division, I think journeymans are... maybe flawed is too strong of a word, but I think it is still quite easy on FM to grow quite quickly as a manager. But you can get into a decent job quite quickly in South Africa. But I think the whole, in terms of building something there, it's really fun. I think you could spend a good 4 or 5 seasons at least in South Africa before you get bored, because I think there's so much to conquer. The top end of the table is so competitive because you've not just got, like, even when I did it and I won the league a number of times, but it was never like by 20th, like, you know, it was never so clear. Like, it was always a very competitive division. But you got some big teams. I think Kaiser Chiefs, are a good one. I think that's who I managed this year. I can't, off the top of my head, it was so long ago, I can't remember.
But it's been so long.
Yeah, exactly. But like, there's so much to consider, I think, because there's so much quality there. There is a lot of quality there. You think over the years, South Africa have produced some decent players, Premier League quality players. You know, we've had Stephen Pienaar, we've had obviously Benny McCarthy. You know, there's some
Lucas Radebe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know, some around Europe and stuff. You know, there's some good quality there, but ultimately, a lot of it starts in the South African Premier League. A lot of it, like Mr. Peters, I still can't pronounce his first name, who I had on probably one of my favourite players on the Pentagon Challenge this year, was from South Africa. So the quality of players, and I'm talking, you're getting players that, yes, probably aren't Premier League quality, but you're still finding players with 16 finishing, 16 composure. They're so fun to use. You look at them and like, fucking, like, they're going to score you goals. Or, you've got this conveyor belt of talent coming from the youth academies and stuff like that as well. But there's some really good teams that you've probably heard of. Kaiser Chiefs are one, quite an iconic name. Orlando Pirates as well are a huge team out there. Supersport United I did quite well with there before. Mamelodi Sundowns. There's loads of good teams. There's one team, Jomo Cosmos, who I managed before, but they're not in the top division anymore. I think they've probably been relegated. But yeah, it's still quite a young league. The division was only founded in 1996. You know, it's not packed with loads and loads of history, but it's fun. It's really fun. I think if you're really stuck, it's so different. You know, going to Africa, it's brilliant.
That Mamelodi Sundowns club, their manager, what did he last year? He retweeted the pod or retweeted one of my tweets, either about a blog or a pod or something randomly. Yeah, Mokoena.
Your voice changed, Dave.
Say again.
Your voice went really high.
Oh yeah. Who was what their manager, was it, or?
Yeah, I don't know if he's still there. He was Mokoena or something. He randomly retweeted one of my tweets, I think.
The guy that's there
Rulani
now.
Mokoena. He's a different guy there now. He's left his job since. Yeah, Rulani Mokoena was the guy, and he randomly retweeted one of my tweets about Football Manager. So he definitely.
Rulani Mokoena, yeah. So they did. He was joint manager with the guy that's just managing it on his own now. I wouldn't even try and pronounce the guy that's managing it now, to be fair. Oh yeah,
I've never managed in that league, no. So
he's managing in. Where is that? Oh, Morocco now. So interesting.
Ah, okay.
Right. He's doing well. He's doing all right. So yeah, no, it's I would give it a go. Genuinely, if you're stuck, I think South Africa is the only playable African league on the vanilla database as well. And obviously you got so much. You got the continental tournaments. I really enjoy it whenever I manage it, to be honest.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've done it a few times in my penalty, and I've always had fun, to be fair. I'm going to bring a league to the table, which is not on the script. I'm going to go off script here. I did think MLS, and we kind of touched upon MLS earlier. It is cool. I'd recommend it. Do your research. You'll have fun in it. It's the draft is not, the only tip I'll give is the draft is not weighted as much as you would think it is. So get rid of your draft picks. The rookies are not good enough, basically, is my little thing there. Stay within your cap and use your designated players to get your spine of your team, potentially a goal scorer. I'm going to go with a new league that's been licensed by FM, which I actually genuinely think has been one of my funnest saves I've done in part of my networks, in part of my Pentagon save, which was the J League in Japan. If you haven't played in Japan, I fully recommend it. The rules are pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. You can drop down into one of the free leagues that is available, which is pretty cool. You have to have like certain players that have played for certain things, but it's nothing crazy. And it's not too difficult. So that's quite cool, quite straightforward. The one thing I will say is the youth development in these leagues are phenomenal. And some of the new gens that you find are phenomenal. One team I'd recommend is Gamba Osaka, who start in the top division, but they are one of the kind of the lesser teams in the top division. They have won the J League a couple of times, and they've also won the Champions League, the Asian Champions League, back in 2008. So my challenge I'd set you is to try and win that Asian Champions League again. However, when you actually go into their facilities and kind of the way that they play, they have the best youth recruitment in Japan. So go and use those facilities, get some really good world-class wonder kids. And I'll be honest with you, it's crazy. Some of the finishing and some of the attribute pairings you find in the Japanese league is phenomenal. Really, really is phenomenal. So I'd recommend that. Absolutely.
I have to say, dude, my missus was in Japan there a few weeks ago and she brought me back a Tokyo FC kit. So
okay, I thought you were going to say she brought you back a new gen with some great physicals, but
I manage
what she does in Japan is up to her.
I manage them, Matt. Their logo is really cool as well, to be fair.
Yeah, the kit's pretty nice. Yeah, it's a decent kit. Yeah, it's nice.
I don't think I won the Champions League.
I'll wear it next week. I'll put it on next week for the pod.
Sound. I like that. Okay. Super. I think that brings the spotlight to a little bit of a close.
I was going to say, Doop, sorry, very quickly. Yeah, no, I looked at some, just sort of to add to this, I tried to see if there was any niche like league rules or something like that. And there's not that many with any crazy rules. But if anyone else can think of any, do let us know. I saw a couple. Obviously, there's the generic ones, like the SPL and stuff like that, which, you know, split in half after a certain amount of time and stuff. But the one that caught my eye is the Dutch Eerste Divisie, which is like the first division, so the league below the Eredivisie.
Half the teams can't get promoted.
Yeah, it's weird. So it's at the end of each season, I think that they've changed it a little bit. So the champion and the runner-up are automatically promoted now. But 6 other clubs then will enter like a little mini tournament, like a playoff, to decide who will get promoted. So this mini tournament actually includes the team that finished 16th in the Eredivisie as well. But how it's decided is the club with the best record after the first 8 matches, the club with the best record in the second period, which is matches 9 to 16, the club with the best record in the third period, which is 17 to 24, and the club with the best record after the fourth period, which is 25 to 32. And then that's such a mad thing to me, because you could be like down towards the bottom of the league and have a really good run at some point and have the chance to get promoted to the top division. So it's I don't know how often that has happened. I would love to, again, I know probably we do have some Dutch listeners because I know there's a big FM Dutch community, but I might have to look into that a little bit more, because that is crazy that you could have a real shit team and have a shitter of a season and still have the opportunity to get promoted to the top division.
But that's a bit like Mexico, the actual top division in Mexico.
That was the other one I was spotted.
Yeah, is you have like a closure and an opener league, and like when you look at the records, it's like, like on the history summary, like little graph, it's like you have 2 dots on each season. It's a bit weird. But jumping back to Holland, also in that, just to throw in the mix, 4 teams can't get promoted, which is the B teams of Ajax, PSV.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've just seen that.
And I can't remember the other 2, but
AZ, PSV, Ajax, and one I can't remember. Maybe
Ajax, AZ, PSV, and Utrecht have got their teams in there.
Okay.
Utrecht,
yeah. So
even if they win, they can't go up.
It's crazy. Yeah, absolutely crazy. Any others?
I was there. Yeah, I was going to say Belgium. I think their league splits in half at some point as well.
Yeah, it does.
But I've never really managed there.
In Belgium,
Argentina has some wild ones as well.
They play each other twice and then they halve the points or something like that.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Weird. Yeah, so it's worth a look if you're looking for something weird. And I definitely know Argentina has some funky rules as well. And I know a lot of the FM content creators have done.
That's why I stuck with Brazil over Argentina. It was just an absolute nightmare with the rules. It was too confused.
Look into some rules. Just a shitload of games.
Yeah.
It's just a shitload of games. Right. So for our listeners looking to add a bit of spice, add a little spice to their FM experience, there is a whole world out there beyond those top leagues. It's all about creating stories, and go give it a go. Anyway, right, lads, Dave, Mads, any final tips that you want to add before we close this section off? I don't want to just chop you off when you got something cool to say. So for just a tip for somebody that's going to dive into an obscure league.
I would say try and pick a league and or club that you could potentially go there on a holiday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or
nice.
Because there's a lot of those famous stories. There was a guy who like arranged his honeymoon in Bulgaria because the second tier team he was managing were down the road, and he just fucked off up to the game one day.
I'm assuming you don't know this story, Matt, because you wouldn't have brought it up.
No.
But straight out of COVID, my wife said to me, she said, where should we go on holiday? Like, let's go just for a city break because we're allowed out now. We're allowed to kind of do. And I was like, I feel we should go to Sicily. She's like, what a wonderful suggestion. Yeah, let's go
Palermo.
there. And she's like, anywhere particular? And I was like, no, just there's like,
what's the capital?
there's a little town called Palermo. She's like, that's that fun. That's that Football Manager stuff you've been doing, isn't it? I was like, yeah, maybe. She goes, well, I ain't doing it now. So we didn't actually go.
Shouldn't have said anything.
No. So now I'm going to preempt it. So I'm going to do, so like next year, my FM25 save is actually a Kenyan save. We've already been there.
You've got all the new gens locked down.
Okay, right. Because Mad's a lazy bugger, I'm actually going to do the quiz this week. And I've actually done quite a quick little quiz. So let's see how we get on. Just to make you both aware, if you didn't know, there's obviously been a lot of kind of argument and controversy about the fact that certain people didn't win the Ballon d'Or and they came runners up. So my question to you is very simple. Work together, okay? I want to know the last 10 different runners-up of the Ballon d'Or, including this year. You can just shout them at me. Just work together.
I'm just going to throw Lewandowski out there because he came second.
He did come second. You're right. He came second in the 2021 season when Messi came first, and Jorginho came third in that one.
Wow.
Yeah. So he is
Vinny
on that
Jr.
list.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Vinny Jr. is correct. He obviously come second this year. Just a little side quest. Do you know who come third this year?
Salah? No.
Bellingham, maybe.
Bellingham. David. Well done.
Yeah.
Correct.
I would obviously Ronaldo and Messi are going to have both finished second, maybe at some point. I say that 10 years.
Correct. So Ronaldo, the last time he finished second was in the the last 10 different, by the way.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2018 was Ronaldo's last one, and Messi's was 2017. When Ronaldo comes second, Modric won it.
I remember that. Neymar
North Star is incorrect.
Yeah, I don't think he would have ever.
Okay.
He's never come second. He has come third. And that's normally his sister's birthday. 17th, 2017, 2015, he came third. Apart from that, he's never come second.
See, we're going to have to go back quite far, I think, here, Matt, because Messi and Ronaldo would have been top two.
So just to give you a clue, from 2018 to 2011, Messi and Ronaldo come second or second.
So we're looking 2010-ish.
But you have missed a few out.
Dave, what about when did Iniesta? That was 2010. Was it the Spain World Cup?
Yeah, I'd go for that maybe.
But I think we should go Iniesta then.
Okay, so Iniesta was second in 2010.
Shout.
He is the 8th different winner.
So we've missed a couple recent ones, though, haven't we? So we've got Vinny.
Mbappe came third in 2023. Did not come second.
So
Dave, what about Salah the year Liverpool? Did Salah get it the year Liverpool won the league? Well, surely he was a bit close, no?
I'd go, maybe Salah.
Liverpool's never won the league, mate. Salah has never featured in the top 3 of the Ballon d'Or.
Scandalous.
Actually.
Okay.
David Coop has obviously got a little bit of a say-so.
David, it usually goes hand in hand with like World Cup wins. So like, if we're going back to 2010, 2012, Euros and World Cups definitely feature heavily in it. So yeah, but Portugal won it in 2016, won the Euros. Germany won the World Cup in 2014, right?
But Ronaldo and Messi.
Yeah, but it's Ronaldo and Messi that whole period. He said from 2011 to about 2018.
Okay, 2018 to 2010.
We missed some recent ones, haven't we? So we have Vinny, Lewandowski. The last couple of years we haven't got as well.
Yeah. So 23, you've not got 22, you've not got 19, you've not got. Obviously, there wasn't one in 2020.
Wasn't a really weird winner the one?
I don't want the winner. I want second. By the way,
Messi won it last year, I think. Still.
Correct. Messi did win it in 2023.
And
Mbappe came
Benzema
third.
was the year before. Benzema won it the year before.
Correct. Benzema won it. But that's not the quiz question, gentlemen. It's who came second.
No, it is not. Would Gareth Bale have been up there one of those Real Madrid years? I think he was in the top 3, but I don't think he was ever second.
Gareth Bale's never been in the top 3.
Is he not?
Harry Kane?
Oh, I've got one.
Go on.
So David's just come with Harry Kane, Doop, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Harry Kane is incorrect.
What about Sergio Ramos?
Incorrect. I actually thought this would be a lot easier because.
Okay, what about?
Ones, it could be. It's been so random the last.
It wasn't
Emi Martinez, was it? No, the one finish. I know he won the goal.
So just to give you a clue, it's not a goalkeeper because the last time a goalkeeper came in the top 3 was
Puskas.
Neuer in 2014.
Neuer.
Not Puskas. What am I about?
Puskas.
No, Levi Yashin. Yeah, that's what I'm on about.
He was the first goalkeeper to win.
Okay, so Dave, we need
Would
to be
you like
looking
some
at
clues? Because I want to go to
winning
bed.
the who was at Real Madrid winning the Champions League there? Like Modric obviously won it at one point. Tony Kroos.
We said Xavi or Iniesta, yeah, like 2000s.
Yeah, so Iniesta was 2010. Xavi came third in 2010 and 2011, but he was not a runner-up. You do have a goalkeeper on the list, just to buy away, and you also have an English player on the list as well.
An English player on the list.
But we are talking old school with those ones. I'm going to help you because I want to go to bed. The last 3 runners-up that you haven't got, which is 2023, 2022, and 2019, all played in the Premier League when they came second. Haaland, correct, in 2023. Well done, Mr. Azzopardi.
Kevin De Bruyne?
Kevin De Bruyne came third in 2022, which is when Benzema won it. Who came second, though, Matt? That is kind of the question. It's easy sat this side, isn't it, Matt? Hey?
Certainly is.
Okay, quick help. 2022 runner-up and 19 runner-up play for the same club. Mane is correct. Benzema won it in 2022. Van Dijk is also incorrect. Is also correct in 2019, where Messi and Ronaldo came first and third. So, bit of help. 2006 is what we're looking at now.
Jesus.
Who came runners-up in 2006? They are a goalkeeper.
Buffon,
Mr. Azzopardi is correct. In 2006, Cannavaro won that competition that year, and Thierry Henry came third. And then 2005, I'm going to give you a bit of a hint. Ronaldinho won it. Stevie G came third. But who comes second? Somebody that couldn't partner Stevie G in the middle.
Mr.
Fat Frank Lampard.
Wowza.
I actually thought you'd do a bit better than that, gents.
I didn't realize how far back I just didn't realize how far back we'd have to go. Yeah. I didn't think we'd be going back to 2005 there. That's mad.
It is crazy. It is crazy. Hey, that's the Messi and the Ronaldo era, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super. Well, there's my quiz. So maybe I won't do another one anytime soon. But thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the 5-Star Potential podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you do listen, and also feel free to leave a review. You can find the links for each of us in the podcast description or by visiting 5starpotential.com, where you can find all of our latest Football Manager content. Mr. Madden, have you released the blog on your channel?
I released a blog on Monday of let's say it's the week before. So I'll hopefully have another one out the week that this podcast drops.
Kind of maybe what I was going for. But yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Thank you.
Hopefully. I don't want to overcommit here, Doop, you know?
You can't find that on the 5-star potential because Joe won't give him the password. And he's too scared to ask again. 5-star potential is available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and most other popular podcast apps and platforms, with a brand new podcast released every single week. Thank you all for listening. There'll be more from us next week. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye, folks.
Up the gentlemen.